Here we go.
Yeah, it's recording.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DJ Greg podcast. I'm glad you're here. Hey, with me today is a Grandmaster MC slash game show host slash entertainer and life of the party. I'm talking about my man all the way from Salt Lake, Utah, excuse me. And his name is Mr. Rob Ferre. Hey, Rob, my man, how you doing?
Thanks, Greg, for bringing me on here. This is awesome.
Hey,
So I
man,
got my backdrop. This is Salt Lake City right here. Yeah, so this is where we hang out. This is where we play.
I love it. I love it, man. I love the city part right there. I don't know about climbing the mountains, but
Yeah.
the city part looks dope, man.
Yeah, so this mountain right here, I climbed a couple of weeks ago. Well, and it sucked. I'm gonna do that once. So I'm not much of a mountain climber, but I've done it, and there's
Okay.
plenty. But I ski these mountains. That's what I love doing. I love to ski. So I'm excited for ski season. It's coming up soon.
Okay. All right. That's dope, man. Shoot, you been skiing for a long time, or?
Yeah, ever since I was a kid. Started probably when I was 8 or so, I think. So yeah,
Oh man, so you a pro then?
I'm a quasi pro, casual,
I love it.
fast. That's what I like to do.
I mean, you're not Lindsey Vaughn, but you hold your own.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you
Here we
go.
go.
Good
Here we
reference.
go. All right. So, hey, man, let's start from the beginning. How did you get your start in the entertainment business?
Yeah. So I graduated from college 2003. Oh, whoops. I was going to change the backdrop here. I started in college in 2003 and graduated in broadcast communications. So I didn't think I was going to, I wanted to like do TV. I really like in the perfect world, I get like hired to be on ESPN and be a sports guy. Like I love sports,
Mm.
but I didn't really quite find it. So I did the Disney College Program internship. And so I moved from Salt Lake City, Utah to Orlando, Florida. And that's where I spent 3 years. And I was showing this to you earlier. This is where I worked. I worked here at the Haunted Mansion. Was one of my favorite rides I worked at. And I also worked at the Jungle Cruise in Walt Disney.
Ah,
Then I also I auditioned for a job at the Nickelodeon Hotel. Ta-da! Nickelodeon
nice.
Hotel in Orlando, Florida, where I worked as a game show host and DJ there. So I spent 3 years in Orlando, Florida. But when I first got there working, I was in a parking lot. Yeah, so I was the guy who was pointing people to park their cars, and it was quite depressing. And then I met Elliot Hansen, who saw the potential in me at a talent show, and he said, "Hey, you should come work for me." And so that's when I started getting into DJing. But I worked in theme parks, and so I worked at Universal Studios playing music in the line while people waited to go on the rides. And so that's kind of where I got started. And I was there for 3 years. Then I moved back to Utah and I started my business, Life of the Party Entertainment. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And then it's kind of evolved over the years from speaking, game shows, a whole variety of things. And so I'm not just like your run of the mill DJ. I do a whole variety of things. And I think the best way to put it is I'm an entertainer. And so, I started doing stuff when I was a little kid, school plays, and doing magic shows and all sorts of weird things all throughout my life.
So you always had the knack for entertaining.
Yeah, and some of us gravitate to DJing because it's being in front of an audience, and that's what I enjoy doing. I like being on stage. I like being in front of an audience, and I just like, you know, DJs. We help people celebrate life, the grandest celebrations in life. We also are there to entertain people, in the clubs or at events, just to take away from their life and just enjoy music and each other, and that's what we do, man. So that's as an entertainer, that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to take people out of their mundane lives and have some fun and celebrate.
Right on, right on. So now when you decided to take the full plunge into the DJ entertainment world, what were
Mhm.
some of like the earlier mistakes that you made and how did you overcome those mistakes?
Yeah, so here's the crazy thing about it is when you get into this, maybe you sometimes think, this is something I can do on the side. Sometimes a lot of DJs never think this is a business. you got to look at it as a business. You got to take things seriously, because eventually it's going to grow. If you're good, people are going to be more, you're going to be more in demand. So I took what is called the PH DJ workshop from Mike Walter and Joe Bunn. I don't know if they offer it anymore, but they have a great podcast. But I remember Mike Walter said in the training, he said something, always have the end in mind. And I wish I had that when I first started. Like, where do I want to go? So when you're starting a business, you got to think about your name. You got to think about your domain. You got to think about your brand. You know, it just can't be Rob the DJ, you know. And that's why I'm happy I chose Life of the Party, because it's not just me, it's beyond me, right? Instead of just like Rob Ferre Entertainment, whatever. But I also tell anybody that is starting in the business, own your name, you know. And if you don't own your name, then you got to find a different, can't find a different name, but find something that's consistent, you know.
Right.
I don't own, I own robferre.com, which is important to me. I have that Instagram. The Twitter, I don't have. I have Rob Ferre 3. I think I might just put a dash in there, or might change it up soon. But I think that's the most important thing. And so own your brand, own your name, own who you are. And so get out there right now, buy that URL, buy that domain, and that's where you start, because you got to, it's like, sometimes we don't think big enough. Sometimes like, oh no, this is just a thing. This is a side gig, or this is just a hobby. I would suggest to anybody, just, you know, think big, you know, and if you don't get there, great. But if you start off small and then you get to somewhere where you want to be, and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this. Also, I think the most important thing is to have a mentor, somebody you can shadow, somebody you can learn from, you know. Somebody could, you know, you just find somebody in your neck of the woods and say, hey, I would love to shadow you. Oftentimes DJs, we have big egos, and sometimes we're like, I don't know, this guy will take my business. But I always think, I'm always looking for up and coming DJs who I want to be friends with, because eventually, you know, they'll reach out to me and say, hey, I can't do this event. You know, there's a guy in my market who sent me a gig last week, and he's just like, I have this lead, I can't do it. Can you do it? Can your team do it? And so I think it's always good to be collaborative, because we can't do all the jobs, you know? And
Right.
so, right?
Absolutely, man. That's why you need partners out there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's the thing. And like you, I didn't think big enough either. You know, I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't know, you know, where to take it. And I think that's a lot of you know, a lot of entertainer minds, when they first get into the business, they don't know where to take it. They just want to do it. You just want to perform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all you want to do. But then, like you said, you don't think of it as a business, but you know, as you get into the business, it's like a wake up call. It's like, oh, you know, you gotta, you know, shift your mind and think of it more as like, okay, this is it. And then you almost have to make up your mind again from there. Do I really want to do this, or like, am I just playing around?
Yeah.
You know?
You got to
But,
commit.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You got to commit.
You got to commit. Yep, you got to make the commitment. That's all. That's all it comes down to. And you mentioned Michael Walter too. I call him like the professor. This guy,
Yeah.
oof, man. I mean, isn't he amazing, man? He just knows like the whole ins and outs.
Yeah, he's a lifer, you know. There's a lot of people who that's all they've done, you know, and I think that's pretty much all he's done. He started, I don't even know if he went to college. And so there's so many different paths out there, you know, and I think people who do get an education can use their education towards, when I say an education, college education, I did wish I took a business class or something like that, you know, and I still use a lot of my education, my connections. I think that's one of the most important things, also connections, education, connections, relationships. Don't burn bridges. You never know when it's going to come back. You know, I've worked with other DJs who decide to burn bridges to get a higher paying gig, and it will never pay off in the end, right? It's just,
Right.
but, you know, and it's interesting because Joe Bunn, he went through college and he did marketing, and the thing about Joe, he's the best, I think he's the best marketer in the DJ business. So a lot of us have different skill sets, you know, not my broadcasting skill set has really helped me out. Now that I'm doing virtual events, I kind of draw on what my experience and my broadcast experience to be able to kind of know how to be animated, speak into a camera. Because how crazy is that? You know, when we're doing live events, we're speaking to people, we're looking in their eyes, we're seeing their energy. When it comes to
Right.
broadcast, you don't see the audience on the other side, and I'm just staring at a camera, and I am putting all my energy into this, and I have no idea how you're reacting on the other side.
Wow.
Right? It's tough.
That is crazy, man. Let's talk about that virtual chat
Yeah.
because I know that that came out of the COVID period in the
Yeah.
beginning, and I'm pretty sure that was the way you pivoted into still being in your craft, right?
Yeah.
What let me see, what's a good question about that?
Well, what I was gonna say is don't be complacent. I think that's the biggest problem sometimes with people in any type of business is
Mhm.
complacency. You know, you get to a point you're like, dude, I got it, you know, but COVID was a hard restart for a lot of us. Remember March, everything shut down. In April and May, we weren't doing a thing. And so a
Right.
lot of people are trying to figure out, what do I do? Where's my place in this world? And it was hard, and it's still hard. A lot of people haven't recovered quite yet, but other people have found different ways to do their craft. And so one of those ways was I did social distancing dance parties. I would go to neighborhoods. I would
Mhm.
tell people to come out on their doorsteps, on their front lawns, and I would DJ from the streets, you know. I did that, and then I created a virtual studio. But the thing is I was inspired by others. I can't say it was my whole entire idea to put cameras here and this, and you're just seeing behind the scenes right now.
Right.
But I decided I needed to do something, and I drew on inspiration from what my other friends were doing, and I purchased the equipment, you know, and I probably invested maybe 15 to $2,000 in the virtual studio, and it's paid off. Even marketing videos, like you just
Mhm.
have to go all in. And I think that's some of the things you have to do. And so virtual is one of the pivots that I was able to do. And tomorrow I'm actually hosting a virtual bar mitzvah, and
What?
it's for a client that's I'm collaborating with another DJ, and these
Okay.
clients live in New Jersey. I would never work with these clients otherwise unless he flew me out. But that's the beauty of virtual, is I am now collaborating with people from all over the world. I've did a presentation for some past clients in Armenia recently, you know, and it's just like it's crazy because now I can be anywhere in the world or in the country from the comfort of my own home. And so there is a lot of apathy right now. I just talked with a client who's getting ready to do a live event. Like, we don't want to do Zoom. We want to do it live. But next
Okay.
week I'm doing a 2-day virtual event where I'm emceeing that event. So it's going to be like this for a while. I'm afraid to say it's going to be tough for the
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be able to get access to a vaccine right away. There are live events are coming back, but they're not going to be as big as we remember them. So it's just finding ways to adapt in what's going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people talk about, oh my goodness, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. But 2021, I think is going to be, we're going to be in the same way we've been doing things, either
Right.
virtual or smaller parties. And the fact that, man, you have such a reach. Holy cow. You're doing, I never heard of a virtual bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
This is like all new, you know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like you can do anything virtual, game shows,
Yeah.
parties, all this kind of stuff, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing is you said like, oh, 2021 is coming around and things are going to get better. The, just because the calendar changes doesn't mean like everything's going to become brand new, and you gotta figure out what you're doing today and be ready for tomorrow. And so sowing the seeds of what you do right now. And I think that was one of the best things that I could have done, was being top of mind. I really pivoted early in getting politics out of my social media and
Right
just being
on.
about what I'm talking about, like what I do, what my passion is. I
Right.
am the thing is I'm very passionate politically. I am very conscious of what is going on in our country, and I'm very passionate about it, but I don't think I'll change any minds in what I do and say on social media. And so I think the most important thing for me to do is be passionate about what brings money to my family. And
Now,
so,
see, I give you a pound for that right there. I give
right,
you a pound. Now you talking my language. I'm serious.
right, right. We got to feed our families. And so
Yup.
what's top of mind is, hey, this is what I'm doing. Let's have some fun. I'm doing these game shows. I'm doing these dance parties. Let's do it for you. And a lot of my referrals have
Mhm.
been from friends on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And
Nice.
let's pivot really quickly, Greg. I don't think there's enough DJs out there who are on LinkedIn. Like there's money there. There's people who are hiring for events out there, and I don't see a lot of DJs, posting on LinkedIn or updating their LinkedIn profiles. And I am constantly putting stuff out there in that world. And it's funny because I got hired by a friend who I went to high school with, and we don't really talk regularly, but he's just like, oh yeah, I saw what you were doing on LinkedIn, and he brought me in, and he works for Match.com. And I'm like, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but even like, from the Match.coms to smaller parties, hey, can you come do this backyard party? And like, those gigs, it feels like we reset. Remember those gigs you turned away? You're like,
Oh yeah, I know.
now you're not turning those away.
No,
You're like,
I know.
we're
Come
back
in
to
my backyard. I'll be right there.
yeah. It's like, we only got $200. Oh, okay,
I'm
cool.
coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Say that's Hy-Vee money.
Yeah, exactly. I can pay for some groceries with $200. Like,
There it
I'd rather
is.
be making $200 than not, right?
Right, right.
It,
You got to eat.
right. There's so many like Saturday nights where I'm like, I could dig in my heels and say, no, I'm not going to do it. And it's not like we're undercutting. It's just like, it's the Wild West now. We're trying to figure out how to survive.
Right.
And people talk about, well, how do we go from surviving to thriving? And I think it's not really about thriving. It's about just doing, right? I think you just got to get out there and do it.
Right,
And
right.
think about how you're doing it. Just like, you're getting out there.
I think as long as you working, you'll get to the thrive part.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's not an answer for that right now. Just keep working.
And I don't want people to think about what they were like or what could have been. I think if you can pay your bills, great. And you cut down on some of the things that you used to do. You don't travel as much, or you don't go out to eat as much.
Right.
Just be grateful for what you have. And my wife and I, we were going to upgrade our home. We were going to double our mortgage. We were ready. We had the loan. We had offers on the house. We did this all in mid-March.
Oh man, you were
right?
ready.
And then it all fell apart, and our income fell apart. And so we ended up staying, and we're so thankful that we did. And so, you just be grateful for what you have.
That's true. That's true, man. A lot of people out there struggling. And if you are here surviving right now during these tough times, man, kudos to you. That you're able to navigate, pivot, and move on to the next thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. That's the mark of a true businessman / entrepreneur, able to pivot and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And okay, on that regard, doing virtual events, doing game shows, updating your LinkedIn, because I'm not even on LinkedIn myself. So this is news to me.
Yeah, we got to get you on there.
Okay. I mean, like right after this interview, like,
yeah, let's get it.
I never considered LinkedIn because I never looked at, I looked at it as a recruiting kind of
right.
service.
But there's people you can connect with, and to be perfectly honest, there's some entertainers out there who are tagging other people. They're like, hey, I got to work with so and so. So I see who they tag in those posts, and I friend them, and I just say, hey, thanks for connecting. Like, that's one thing I do. I just look at who else is connected, who they're connected to, and I just start connecting. And the only thing I say when I connect with somebody, thanks for connecting. Right. I don't say, hey, I'm Rob, I'm a DJ, if you ever need my services, Like, I don't say that. I
Right,
just
right.
say, hey, thanks for connecting. And then I put stuff on my feed saying, I got to do this amazing event. It was so awesome. Uh, and I never say, let's talk about your event. I never do that either.
Okay.
They just look, they see what I'm doing. They see that I'm working, right?
Right,
And,
right.
and so, and you got to keep things relevant too, instead of being like, oh, wow, look at this wedding I did a year ago. I wish things would be like that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that being kind of, but like, I like, what are you doing today? Like, what are you doing today?
Right.
You know, maybe if you're not working, like, I'm working on this. I just got my certification on this, or I'm building this, or I'm talking to these people. And it's hard sometimes to be optimistic about what's not going on. I don't know, but get out there, get yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's a world of opportunity if you just, find out what the problem is and how you can solve it,
Yeah,
then you're in.
exactly.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, what is like the Rob Ferre meaning of success?
Yeah. I, I think there's this, there's this TED talk, famous TED talk from Simon Sinek. And
Okay, I heard of it.
yeah, yeah, you got to watch it. It's very simple. He talks about why people like to work with companies that have a defined why. What is their why? Why do you do what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says lead with why, in the sense that we do this for people. Why do we do it? Because we do it for this reason. And I think my success is being able to be congruent with my why. What success for me is that I'm able to be on stages with audiences, either virtually or in person, make some money, and travel. So my success was last week, we had enough money to be able to take time off, my wife and I, and travel and be with friends. I work to live. Does that make sense? I want to live this life in the sense that I can go out and be a part of this world. And so success for me is being able to be financially stable so that I can live a fun and comfortable life where I travel the world and experience it with the ones that I love.
Right
That's
on.
success for me. It's kind of simple.
Yeah. Hey, but it's you though.
Right. Right.
Everybody has their own meaning
Right.
of
Exactly.
success. Everybody has their own meaning, and there is no wrong answer to it.
Yeah. So what's your definition of success?
Oh man, you threw it back.
Yeah. What do
Wow.
you, what does success feel like to you?
It's a very good question. My man threw it back. You're the first one to throw it back to me. You know that?
You got to figure this out. I don't know. Maybe you have
My meaning of success is, oh man, now that I'm thinking about it, it's just being, well, first of all, everybody wants to be happy with what they want to
yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
things that I want to do with myself is, of course, to be a great entertainer,
Hmm.
be out there in front of people, making them dance, because I tell them, hey, I can make you dance all night, any night, and every night.
Yeah.
That's my pitch. So and given that pitch, I want to prove to them, and also it gives me a great joy when I see people dancing. It gives me a deep, great joy when I'm beat mixing and the ladies are out there, they're stomping their feet, they're having a good time, they're screaming. That gives me so much joy, Rob.
Yeah.
It's so weird when I tell people this, but they don't understand. Like,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, the,
And
the,
yeah, I get it, because when you get back out there, I've done, like, these last 3 weeks, I've done like two really awesome weddings, and then I did a high school dance. And people are
okay,
like, high school dance? Like, I did it in small town Utah.
okay,
They did a prom. It was outside. Kids were wearing masks. But
okay,
just watching how people react to the music, like, that's what we do as entertainers. We are eliciting reactions, either
right,
laugh, dance, hands up in the air, screaming, shouting. Like, that's what we are. And we're also doing that by bonding people together. And that's what we miss most, is actual human interaction together. And so I get it. Cause every time I do those gigs and I'm like, oh yeah, like I feel that. And I've done a couple of weddings recently where people were dancing. They were doing like I got these kids at this high school dance,
Mm-hmm.
a conga line, and I
Okay.
didn't get. When I say I didn't get them. I played the song that elicit this reaction. I played Baby Shark, and they were doing a conga line to Baby Shark.
Isn't it funny how music could like just like
Yeah,
pull out the weirdest things in
yeah.
people, you know,
But
and they just go with it.
but I didn't start with Baby Shark. We always have to remember that. Like I was
Uh,
probably an hour and a half, no, 2.5 hours deep into this. We're in the last half hour. And so I'm like, I got them now.
right,
Let's throw something out there. Let's get them going. And that's the
right,
beauty of what we do is being creative and just throwing out these songs that get them to go, oh, whatever.
right. See, you get it, man. You
Right,
get
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of what we do is eliciting a reaction that you don't think or they wouldn't think was possible. Like they didn't show up that night thinking I am going to do the conga line to Baby Shark and it's going to be killer. Like they
Right,
had no idea,
right.
but they're going to remember that.
They're gonna remember it. Yup. That's the thing. When you go out to the gig, you don't know what's gonna happen. It's like
Yeah,
only thing you just have one goal in mind, and that's just to kill it.
yeah, for
No,
sure.
that's it. That's it. And another part of success is, of course, being with the one that I love, my wife, traveling. I
Yeah.
mean, she's from Germany, so she took me to Germany.
Oh,
I
cool.
want to say about 5 times, man. Each time it's been like, if
Yeah.
if you've never been to Germany, Rob, you better
But
grab Larissa and go.
yeah, I've been to Berlin, but I want to
Okay.
go beyond Berlin. I love Berlin just because they're very American friendly. Everybody speaks English. Not
Right,
everybody,
right.
but they're like the and yeah, I want to go to Neuschwander where they have that castle. Anyway, that
Oh,
and
okay.
so
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yup. Yeah, that would be a good spot. I
yeah,
mean,
so there's lots of stuff to do. I mean, that's the like we were this summer we were supposed to go to France and then go to Paris Disneyland, and that didn't happen. And so like we're gonna do it next year, but that was one of my things is I was gonna do my first international wedding out in France, and it didn't happen. But
oh wow.
I'm not dwelling on it, It's like don't dwell on what I don't have and dwell on what I do have. But yeah,
Right.
so
There
yeah.
you go. Man, I mean, you are really doing it. How long you been in the game, Rob?
I started DJing in 2004, so 16 years, and then started my business 13 years ago. So yeah, but
Okay.
so if that's the game, then that's the game. But I've been doing stuff all my life. But if we're gonna talk DJ, 16 years, yeah.
16 years, man. So what does the future look like for you? I mean, are you still going to be DJing or you
Yeah,
going to get into other aspects of entertaining? I mean,
yeah.
but
I'm
5, 10 years from now.
yeah. I want to be speaking more on bigger stages and doing. To be fairly honest, speaking, I can get higher fees. I don't have to haggle with brides that want a lower fee or whatever.
Right. You speak very
Um,
well, though.
yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, but I every time I do a DJ gig, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I love this. And so I don't think I'll ever stop DJing.
Mhm.
I'll just be, and the thing is, I'm just always exploring to do different things and new things. And so, yeah, that's kind of the goal in 10 years is to be the majority of my income is coming from speaking and emceeing.
Awesome. Awesome. And this is all you do, right?
Yeah. I don't have a day job. I couldn't hold down a real day job. I got into education once I got here. I was a substitute teacher, and I thought, okay, I could do this. And then I realized I was a better entertainer than educator.
You would be that one in the classroom getting the kids going.
Yeah, and then they disrespect you, and then you swear at them, and you're like, oh crap.
But
Right.
they swear at you now these days.
Yeah, exactly.
These kids,
Yeah,
they're awful, man.
yeah. So, right.
Okay, so if anybody wants to reach you, Rob, how do they reach you?
Yeah. So what you can do is I'm on Instagram at Rob Ferre, and you can email me at robferre.com or connect with me on Facebook, whatever. But I'm out here doing my thing, and so let's see here. I don't think I can share my screen, but yeah, I just want to be able just to connect with people and have some fun out there. And it's what I do. But yeah, Instagram's probably the best. And my business is Life of the Party.
There it is. Yup.
That's my business out here in Utah. But yeah, and I'm just, oh, and LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn. Let's connect on LinkedIn at Rob Ferre. So.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt. I'm gonna do the LinkedIn. I'm gonna check it out. I checked out LinkedIn. I'm like, I don't think this is a place for DJs. And then here you are saying, hey man, get on.
Yeah, what I should probably do is do a workshop for some DJs on LinkedIn. And I've taken other workshops on LinkedIn, and so it's just it really is a great place to be able to, I don't know, connect with professionals who are hiring people to do what we do.
Right. Probably a great place to network though,
Yeah,
do some
exactly.
of that stuff too. So yeah, I'll definitely check that out. And when you do that presentation, let me know, because I really enjoyed your presentation that you did in Vegas earlier this year. That's when you pulled me in. I'm like, man, he is really killing this presentation, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
I'm
it.
like, Rob is not playing. I mean, I heard your name around, the mobile DJ circle for years.
Yeah.
And I think I heard you speak maybe one time, and then you did the presentation. It's like, yo, I got to talk to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm like, let me introduce myself to Rob, see what's happening.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, I'm glad I did, man. Thank you for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's one way for me to give back to the DJ community. I just want to make sure that, the saying goes is all the rising tide lifts all ships. We just need to have a better industry, better DJs out there, because the reality is it's easier than ever to become a DJ. All you gotta do is grab some speakers and and streaming, all you can just stream from Spotify now. It's just crazy.
Right.
But there is so much more to it than that. And I think if we have better events, better DJs, it will be better for the industry as a whole. So for sure.
Absolutely. Because you have an effect on the crowd, and streaming alone can't do that.
No. Yeah, we got to do a lot more, just to kind of create those moments for sure.
Right on, man. Well, you doing it out there in Utah, man. Next time you stop over in Minnesota, I don't care if it's for an hour, man. You better look me up.
Yeah, and I got some friends up there, Mr. Howard Wallstein,
Okay.
Dance, Bill Herman's up there, John Young. There's a whole variety of guys up there, but I think that's important. So, yeah.
Awesome. Hey, man, thanks a lot for your time once again. Really appreciate it, and we'll keep communicating from this spot on out.
Okay, cool. All right, I appreciate it, Greg.
Thank you.